Hail to the Redskins. What's going on, Internet? This is JD coming at you with my review of the Washington Redskins to just go over what has been happening. I got a new job in Pennsylvania, so I pays a lot of money, so I took the job. So I didn't have time to do videos, and also moved in with my girlfriend, so a lot of my free time is occupied with her. So that's where a lot of things come from. That's why I haven't been doing as many videos. Still keeping up with the Redskins. Still highly disappointed in this season. Okay, so I'll go over that. First off, I'm just going to comment on what I've noticed this year from the Redskins fan base. I've noticed in the past year and a half, that the Redskins, we honestly don't deserve to win because a lot of our franchise and fan base is very excuse-ridden. Never heard so many excuses for anyone, any player, any team, whatever case may be, for why they win, lose, or draw a game. I never heard so many excuses for players. Obviously I'm going to go over that. This is a video summing up the entire season, what I think needs to happen going forward. But this entire season has just been, I've heard nothing but excuse after excuse after excuse why someone can't do their job and why it's everyone else's fault. It is honestly the perfect, just a perfect example of when someone says like a victim mentality or victim society. Perfect example. Because we have a lot of people in our fan base who automatically go to excuses the second something doesn't go right, and it's consistently happening. Okay, I'll give a perfect example. When we played the Chiefs, and the ball was thrown from Kirk Cousins to Josh Dobson didn't catch the ball. Myself jumped up and blamed the player. I was like, catch the fucking ball. You have your hands on the ball, cradle it, you put your goddamn arm down, catch the fucking football. That's what I yelled. I yelled that from the top of my lungs. My girlfriend was with me. She got like, it's the first time she ever seen me go an emotional football game. Okay? So, that is part of the game. You gotta catch the football. Everyone on Facebook, this is what they're doing. That's a catch. His knee was down before the ball came out. No, that's not the rule. And I'm explaining this because I live in an area with a lot of Steeler fans, so that I had to explain to them what the actual rule is for catching a football. You have to catch the football, and if you're going to the ground, you have to maintain possession through the ground. Doesn't matter if you get one knee down, okay? That doesn't mean you're down, first off. Second, you got to catch the ball through the ground. If that's the case, someone could literally jump, put their hands on the ball, touch their feet down, throw the ball out of bounds. That's technically a catch. That's technically a catch because he had both feet down and he had a ball in his hands. That's a catch, correct? No, it's not. So this is how succession of this rule goes. It goes, you have to catch the ball, maintain it, and if you're going through the ground, you have to be inbounds, and you have to maintain possession through the ground. And then they judge whether it's a touchdown. People think because the guy caught the ball and it broke the play in the end zone, it's done. That's the end of it. No, it's not. You have to maintain the ball through the ground. It says so blatantly in the rules. Okay? If the guy is a runner and it breaks the play in the end zone, then he fumbles it, yes, you have a point. But he is a receiver. So to receive the ball, you have to catch it, be down, maintain the ball through the ground. Now, if you're stupid enough to stretch the ball across, that's your fault. Now, if he'd have gone down on the ground and cradled it like this and then turned to do it, and then someone knocked it out of his hands or something, you have a point. But you have to maintain the ball. So back to Josh Dobson. He has to catch the ball. No excuses. You know the rule that if the ball moves when you go to the ground, it's not going to be a catch. So why do guys keep doing stupid stuff like stretching the ball out or not cradling the ball properly, whatever the case may be? It's stupidity is what it is. Okay? I immediately blame the player. Got to catch the football. Everyone on Twitter said, oh, the referee screwed us. Everyone on Facebook said, oh, the referee screwed us. That was a catch. His knee was down. Oh, look at the face mask on that play. There was no face mask called. Enough of the damn excuses. Okay? He needs to catch the ball, plain and simple. As much as I don't like Kirk Cousins, he threw a dime on that play. Okay? He threw a fantastic pass on that play. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not the biggest fan of Kirk Cousins. I don't think he's horrible. I think we can do better. I think I'll get to him in a minute, so I'll only talk about that. So that's what I've learned about the fan base of the Washington Redskins. They're excuse-ridden, and we don't deserve to win. Whenever you have so many excuses to sit in your back pocket to always want to use, we don't deserve to win. We're not a franchise that deserves to win football games. So We're not, especially when you're excuse ridden. Hold the players accountable. Up until this moment, I thought Redskins held their players accountable. And here's what I mean by being held accountable. Whenever we had quarterbacks in the past that didn't do their job, we said, God, we just need a franchise quarterback and we're going to be good. We just need this, we just need this, and this, this, and this, and this. Now we have a franchise quarterback that people think, and no longer that quarterback is held responsible for his actions or for his lack of ability to get the job done. That's the issue I have with Washington Redskins fans. And that's why the Redskins will never be good. Because one, a lot of people, not a lot, but a handful of people don't hold Dan Snyder accountable. Okay, he's owned this team for how many years, and how bad a job has he done? Everyone wants to blame him for everything, but he does not the one with those passes. Okay, we got to hold people accountable for their actions. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about every aspect of the team this year. First off, I'll talk about the defense. I think the defense was pretty darn good this year. I know the statistics, this is fucking wrong. You can look online, it's like, oh, they gave up 20-some points per game. No, they didn't. If you look online, the offense gave up over 100, resulted, their turnovers and their fuck-ups resulted in 138 plus points that the defense is given credit for. Okay? So the average per game is very skewed. For example, at the end of the Eagles game, in the Eagles game, Kirk Cousins had 3 turnovers. The first turnover resulted in a touchdown. The second turnover resulted in a field goal, and the other turnover resulted in a touchdown as well, because it was a fumble return for a touchdown. So right there, 17 points. Then you added some Jamison Crowder's muff punt, and that's another touchdown. So, I mean, that's a lot of points there. So, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, 24 points. 24 points that our offense was responsible for. It might have been a field goal, so it might be 21 points that our offense is responsible for. In that specific game, our offense was responsible for giving up between 17 and 21 points. And that's one game. So right there, that's a game we lost like 30-20 or something, like 30-19 or something like that. That's a game where if our offense just doesn't screw up, our defense was playing great that game. They had like a couple blown plays, but consistently they did well. So you can look across a lot of our games. You know, our defense, they played consistent. Our defense at its best was better than our offense at its best. And our offense, I don't think ever played well this year. I just don't. That's my personal opinion. You don't have to believe me. But I just don't think our offense played well this year. And the reason why, I just don't. The best game they had was against New Orleans. If you want to be technical, the best game they had was against New Orleans. Kirk had 3 touchdowns. He still had like an atrocious completion percentage, but he had 3 touchdowns in that game. That's the best our offense played. The best our offense probably played with not adding in quarterback play was against the Rams, when we rushed for like almost 250 yards. And Kirk Cousins just really didn't do much in that game. He had a touchdown late just to seal the deal, but he really didn't do much. He had a bad completion percentage. He was pedestrian at best, and he happened to get a touchdown late. So everyone jerks off to that. So, all right, I really think our defense, I like the direction it's going. And, I mean, I hear these excuses online all the time. That, and again, I keep harping back to Kirk Cousins. It's not a Kirk Cousins dish channel. It's not. I'm just talking about the Redskins, and he happens to be one of the biggest hot topics when it comes to the Washington Redskins. Okay? So one of the issues that we've had with Kirk Cousins this year is not Kirk Cousins, but whenever he doesn't produce, everyone's got an excuse in their back pocket. The receivers can't catch a football. Well, I'll get to the receiving stats here in a minute, but receiving stats can't be that bad considering the stats that I found today. So, receivers can't catch a football. That's the first thing. Second, they can't get open. So they can't get open, but then they can't catch a football when they are open, but they can't get open. So which one is it? That makes sense. Okay? And then the offensive line is horrible, which, I'm not going to lie, at some point this season the offensive line was bad. But are we living in a world of excuses, or are we living in a world where we're adults, and adults handle business? Adults step up and take care of business. That's my opinion. I don't live in the world of excuses. Are you going to step up and do your job, or are you going to step up and just have an excuse in your back pocket, ready to play anytime we don't succeed? That's my biggest issue with what I've dealt with the last year when it comes to like Washington fans. Okay? So I mean, our defense at its best. I mean, what I was getting to with that is the offense always has an excuse in their back pocket for why they don't succeed. But you turn around and the defense was never given any breaks this year. The defense was never giving any breaks this year. They've had a lot of. They had eight starters injured this year. Okay, then they had in the same week they had four starters and eight backups injured in the same week. Okay, and we still almost beat the Chiefs. And then the next week we beat the 49ers barely because our offense can't score, so our defense had to step up with a skeleton crew and stop them from scoring. Gave a rookie quarterback 20-some points before halftime, or 24 points because they're injured. But our offense can't do anything after halftime. First half team. That's all the Redskins are when it comes to their offense. So I honestly think our defense is actually heading in the right direction. We re-signed Zach Brown. I think we're going in the right direction. And we got after our best when we played the Raiders. If we could play every team like that, and we would be pretty set with defense. The problem is we couldn't stay healthy, so we never had consistency. And, it happens. It's part of football. But I have no issue with our defense. Everyone wants to blame our defense for everything. I mean, I just told you that the offense was responsible for over 138 points. That's the last time I stopped counting. I stopped counting at the Saints game for how many points the offense was responsible for giving up. Okay, so I stopped counting then. It was 138 then. That's why I say plus. I know Kirk's had in his last 4 or 5 games with the Redskins, he was like 5 for 6 in touchdown to interception ratio. So I know that other points had to result in touchdowns. Other interceptions had to result in points. So that's basically the best way I can sum up my opinion on the defense. I thought they got after it. I thought they played hard. What we really need to do, this is what we need to do to improve on defense. We need to get some kind of defensive lineman that can be a run stopper. Excuse me. We need to get a defensive lineman that can be a run stopper. As soon as we get that, we're going to be set. Because we have a good linebacking core. I don't think our secondary is god-awful. I don't think it's horrible. This wasn't consistent this year. Kendall Fuller, saw a lot of promise out of him. Fabian Monroe, saw a lot of promise out of him. I still think Josh Norman is legit. That's all I'm going to say about the defense. Let's go to the offense. Offensive line, when healthy, they were pretty good. I mean, Rams have like the third best run defense or something like that. I mean, I'll find that out real quick. Okay, so the Rams aren't actually as good, have a good as run defense as I thought. But I know they have, they're not horrible at stopping the run. And the Washington Redskins put up 240 rushing yards on them. Okay, so at their best, that's what they could be. Now, the problem is inconsistency because of injuries. The other problem is that the Washington Redskins also don't consistently have a running game. And what I mean by that is the Redskins don't consistently commit to the running game. Let me rephrase that. They don't commit to the running game. There's like a stat, and I lost track of the stat like midway through the season. Where the Redskins, like whenever they have a game where they have 25 design runs, not like we're scrambles and Kirk runs and scrambles, design runs, the Redskins are like 23-2-1 or something like that. Whenever they have designed runs, they didn't win 25 times a game. Because one, wears down the defense, it sets up the passing game, it eats up the clock, and whenever we win the time of possession, we usually win games. That's a statistic that I don't think Jay Gruden just ever looked up. If you saw his video, he'd know, because I've been preaching about it all season, that we don't commit to the run enough. I think he abandons the run way too quick, and he just... I do think P. Ryan is actually pretty good. Unless we can luck up and get Saquon Barkley or something like that in the draft. I mean, P. Ryan's probably our running back of the future. Just what it is. I don't think he's bad. I think he runs hard. I think he hits the hole right. And I think he has breakaway ability. So I think he's a good enough receiver that we can be running back. They can be successful with him going forward. Like I said, unless we can luck up and get Saquon Barkley or something like that, I'm comfortable with him going forward. Once he's one of those ones that needs a couple of runs to get him going. Once he gets going, though, he's a downhill runner. He's a freight train. So I think you need to commit to him running next year. Just commit to him being the running back. Get rid of Rob Kelly. I don't hate the guy, but he's just not a real running back because he has no breakaway ability. Chris Thompson, get healthy, come back. You're probably the best third down back in the league right now. I mean, heck, I think he led us in touchdowns. Okay. Receiving core. Now, this is where everyone's going to be like, oh, the receiving core, they suck. I don't think the receiving core is that bad. Um, I mean, first off, we have 2 elite tight ends, but I do think we need to get rid of Jordan Reed. Get rid of him. He's not that good. I mean, he's good, but he just can't stay healthy. And I would rather not put my faith in that guy anymore. Go forward, move forward with Vernon Davis and Jeremy Sprinkle. I think that's his name. Okay? Just move forward. Just move on for him. Jordan Reed is a good player. I'm not going to take it away from him, but he cannot stay healthy. You know, the best ability is reliability sometimes, and he is one that cannot stay reliable. Okay, he's too injury prone. He gets banged up way too much. This is not something that I think the Redskins should deal with anymore. Vernon Davis is old. He's older than him. He's like 7 years older than him, and he's healthy all the time. Jeremy Sprinkle, we just drafted him. Keep him. Okay. Receiving core. I like Grant and I like Crowder. So everyone says they had a down year. I don't think they had a down year. I think they were just misused. And I'll talk about that a little bit when I talk about the coach. Okay, but I do think they were misused. I think both of them were kind of played out of position. I don't believe this whole narrative where they can't get open. They can get open. If you watch NFL Sunday Ticket, you have the option to go back and rewatch the games with 6 camera angles. Okay, you will find guys open. Okay, because TV just follows the football, and people want to take that and say, "Oh, I watched it on TV, so I know what the fuck I'm talking about." No, you don't. NFL coaches, NFL Network, NFL Sunday Ticket, they give you the access to having all 6 camera angles for every play. There are people open that Kirk does not find open. Jay Gruden himself has said this. Okay, there are articles proven on NFL Network and Washington Post in USA Today saying and proving that there are guys open and Kirk Cousins does not throw the ball to them. Fuck, the Redskins receiving core this year, I'll get into that here in a little bit. I'm getting off topic because I'm just talking about how the team should improve, and I'm going to go over what went wrong this year. Okay? So those 2 are fine. I think Josh Dobson's coming onto his own. Terrell Pryor, I really just think he was misused. We had one game this year where he was used like a tight end when we had Reed out and Niles Paul. So we had one game this year where he was used like a tight end, and I thought that was the best we've used him. He'd go down like 5 yards, turn, use his big body, catch the ball, and just go to the ground. He wasn't used for a deep threat. He wasn't used for a jump ball guy, whatever case may be. The best he can be used is like an Anquan Bolden type of possession receiver, use his big body, shield it, catch it, go to the ground, get those 5 yards hard, and move the chains. That's what he should have been used at, not a deep threat. Maybe once in a while do it to throw the defense off, but that's not how it should have been used. He was thrown in way too quickly as a viable like a jump ball player. He's not. Okay, he's not. It's not what he probably could do that, but he's just not. He's not. He's a quarterback playing receiver. You gotta use him to something simple. Okay, and they kept throwing him to this thing. Oh, run these complicated routes and do all this crazy stuff. Yeah, he's a receiver, so he should be able to do that. But he's also been a quarterback for his entire life prior to being a receiver on the Washington Redskins. Okay. So he's been a receiver for 2 years. All right. So I think he was misjudged a little bit. I don't think he should be around anymore. I don't think he played well. I mean, still the ball's on you. You should catch it. If you're going to be paid to be an NFL receiver, you should catch the ball. I just do think he was misused properly. Like I said, Josh Dobson, he needs to catch the goddamn football whenever football's thrown in the end zone. For the love of God, please, if you just catch that, we start season 3-1. You don't know how the rest of the season plays out from there. So. And we beat a team who's just like straight up undefeated and was just like kicking everyone's ass. They walked into the season beating the Patriots by 20 points. So we beat a team like that. You don't know what that does to the morale of the team. All those people have little nicks and bumps. Maybe they're not feeling so injured anymore because we can play for something. Okay? So, I mean, that's just my opinion on the receiving core. Some other guy named, was it Maurice Harris or something like that? He didn't play bad either. So we had a handful of receivers that I personally don't think did bad. I don't think they did horrible this year. I mean, obviously the Washington Redskins, I mean, everyone's blaming the receiving core for all of our woes. Everyone blames the offensive line for all of our woes. Defense is a problem for all of our woes. But very few Redskin fans really want to point the finger in the direction it's supposed to go. So, And that's what my job is today. Is I'm pointing the finger in the direction in which it needs to go. I'll talk about head coach now. First, I'll talk about the coordinator. Greg Manusky, I think, did a great job this year. Going forward, as long as you give him good talent, I think he can do some things and make our defense very effective. Okay, our pass defense was actually pretty decent. Our run defense was I think we were like 32nd in the league. The reason why our run defense was so bad was because we consistently didn't have the same guys in. Okay, and when our quarterback can't score or our offense can't score, guys are able to run the ball on us. Our defense is designed to play with leads. And we've been trying to do that the last 3 years, thinking Kirk Cousins will finally just turn it on and be a quarterback who can actually move the chains, eat up the clock, get leads, and the defense can play with the lead all the time, so don't have to worry about running the ball. Okay? But the last 2 years, that hasn't been the case. Okay, I'll get to that here in a minute. But Greg Manusky has done a great job. Jay Gruden, I'm going to talk about Jay Gruden. Jay Gruden, if I was the owner of the Redskins, I would bring him into the office like, listen, you have two options here. You can either be the offensive coordinator or the head coach. You're not being both. Okay? Not saying he's a horrible offensive coordinator, but when he's an offensive coordinator, he has horrible clock management. Okay, that is a huge issue that Jay Gruden has when he is calling plays. He does not manage the clock well. He also does not have discipline. And what I mean by that is that he will not commit to making sure we run offense or run the ball and pass the ball. Run the ball, pass the ball, and have balance. He gets very pass heavy, and then it makes our offense way too predictable. He runs way too many screens because it's easy to call. I think he just gets flustered whenever he's doing other things as a coach, like, oh, just run the screen pass again. Okay? He doesn't. I don't think he just does a good job of creating the offense to maximize everyone's production. I think what he did is took the offense last year, plugged in prior to where Garcon was. I think he tried to move Jamison Crowder to where Jackson was and thought, like, okay, we'll just run the same thing Sean McVay ran. Sean McVay created that offense around the talent on the team. Okay? So it wasn't a situation where, oh, this offense was custom made for the talent we have. I'll just call the plays now. No, the offense was not custom made for the talent we had. What should have happened is what we should have done all year. This is what should have happened. We should have ran two tight end sets. We went on a single back set with P. Ryan. Okay, two tight end sets. Now you can run them up on the line or off the line. Doesn't really matter. Okay, but two tight end sets. You rotate in Reed, Sprinkle, Niles, Paul, and Davis. Rotate all them in. Okay, and then you put single back set with two tight ends, and you have two split receivers on each side. One would have been Grant, and one would have been Crowder. Okay, and you move those guys around. You move out that's what the offensive should have been. Okay, that's my personal opinion. That's what I think we should have done. Put guys in motion. Put Vernon Davis out there on a corner out there on the edge, so the corner has to guard him. That's a mismatch. We did not do those things effectively this year. Okay, I don't think we did them enough. And Jay Gruden calling the plays had an adverse effect on that. So I don't think Jay Gruden should be an offensive coordinator. I don't mind him as an offensive coordinator if he has time to do both. Okay, if he has time to build the offense around his talent. I don't think he built the offense really well around the talent he had. I think he built it around talent he had last year, and he just tried to fit some square pegs and some round holes into the offense this year. Okay, so that's what I would do if I was the owner. Like, you can either be the head coach or you can be the coordinator. It really showed in a handful of games how bad his clock management skills are when he's got to do offense and he's got to also do be the head coach. So that's what I think is an adjustment that needs to be made. I don't think he needs to be fired. I mean, obviously, if Bill Belichick leaves the Patriots and he's like, I want to go to the Redskins. I like working with Kirk Cousins, or I like doing, and he says that, I'm like, well, fuck yeah, let's do that. Jay Gruden, you're demoted to offensive coordinator. Okay. And Greg Manusky, you're defensive coordinator. Awesome. We have Bill Belichick. But if we don't have that, we need to continue. I don't mind Jay Gruden's continue being the coach. I don't think he needs to be fired. Okay. I do think if he has another season where he's not in the playoffs, I think he should be on the hot seat. So, with that being said, obviously, anyone who knows my channel knows I'm about to talk about one specific player. Okay. Well, let me go to the offensive line real quick. Offensive line, it wasn't bad. Okay. It wasn't bad in the sense that when they were healthy, they were good. That's what I mean. Obviously, if you're going to have 5 injuries across the offensive line, you're going to have issues. But here's a counter to that issue. Tom Brady, and I'm not trying to compare Tom Brady to our quarterback. Tom Brady had 5 rookie offensive linemen, and he went to the AFC Championship game, and lost to Denver by 8 points. And we're having an excuse that we can't put it together and have a quarterback who, we at least have good weapons and stuff. So we're allowed to have that built-in excuse, but other teams don't. I just don't understand why we want to be that team, that franchise, that fan base that wants to have excuses about everything rather than holding people accountable. Next man up. Okay? That is the rule. Next man up. Okay? This is built-in excuses. The offensive line has one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL. Okay? His name's Bill Callahan. He is the best offensive line coach in the NFL. He's the one that helped build the Dallas Cowboys offensive line. You see how bad they were this year because he hasn't been there for 2 years. Okay? So, I don't think the offensive line is horrible. I mean, obviously we need to improve on it. Okay? We have a couple good guys. I have Sheriff. I think Sheriff Long and Trent Williams are pretty good. We need to get 2 more to fill this spot. I don't think Morgan Moses was horrible and Laval wasn't horrible, but we can obviously do better. Okay? Kirk Cousins got sacked 40 times this year. That's a lot. You don't need to be sacked that much. That's ridiculous. Okay? So we need to do a better job protecting our quarterback, but our quarterback also should counter that by audibling out plays when he sees the blitz with like 5 people coming at him, or 6 people coming at him. We have 5 blockers. Okay? Seattle game, Kirk held on to the ball and got a safety. And everyone's complaining about the offensive line in that game. Like, Kirk had time to throw. There's plenty of time to throw. And the guy attempted 39 passes in that game. You don't attempt 39 passes and not have time to throw. Okay? I'm not getting into that, but I'm going to go ahead and get into the bulk of this video. Offensive line, need to draft offensive line. This is I think this year's what we should do. I think we should franchise Kirk, trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, okay, because what's his name wants Jimmy Garoppolo. I would love to have Jimmy Garoppolo personally, and give away our 2nd-round pick this year, or 1st-round pick for it. Not our 2nd-round pick. First, I'll give 1st and 3rd and Kirk for Jimmy Garoppolo. And the reason why I do that is because, first off, we need a quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a quarterback, and he's going to be long-term. Bill Belichick did not want to get rid of him for a reason. Okay? Second, I wouldn't give away our 2nd-round pick because we need to draft an offensive lineman. We need to draft an offensive or defensive lineman in the 2nd round. Okay? We can obviously, trade down and get extra picks. We just need to draft better. That's really the biggest issue I have, was we needed to draft better. So, now I'm going to get to the bulk of this video. Kirk Cousins is I'll press my comments by saying again, because I always have to say this because people are just stupid and they don't want to fucking listen. Okay? Pardon my French, but it's just irritating how much this year I've had to deal with this shit. Okay? And first off, I don't give a fuck what your opinion is. If you want to have a conversation like an adult, we can have a conversation, about your opinion on the Redskins and mine. That's fine. We can have that conversation. But as soon as you start calling me a fag, or you want to call me fat, or you want to attack my personal character, or whatever case may be, I'm not going to have that shit. Your comment will be deleted the second I see it. Okay? I'm okay having a conversation. We don't have to agree on everything. Okay? This is my video. You don't have to watch it. No one is forcing you to watch this video. Okay? You can do whatever your heart's content. Okay? But the second you comment and you're going to attack me or whatever, or say something personal like that, it is no longer about us having a conversation about football. You are attacking me and being derogatory towards me. And I will not stand for that shit. Okay? So, with that being said, this is my opinion on Kirk Cousins. Take it or leave it. You can skip to the end of this video if you don't want to hear my opinion on Kirk Cousins. I don't hate the guy. I think as a person, he's very nice. I think he's a good, congratulations to him and his family. I'm sorry about, off the field, I'm sure he's a pleasant dude. But here's my issue with Kirk Cousins. First issue I have. He has been holding our franchise hostage for 3 years now. 3. Holding our franchise. We don't know what our future is. The uncertainty of our future is very worrisome. Okay? Because this guy just will not commit to us, but he wants us to commit to him. How did we offer a guy a $100 million contract and that's not showing commitment? Okay, I am okay with paying Kirk Cousins $20 million a year for the next 5 years. $20 million a year for the next 5 years. It's a $100 million contract. Okay, $100 million contract. He doesn't deserve any more than that. And the reason why it is because Kirk Cousins is only as good as the talent around him. Okay, whenever he was drafted, that was what was said about him in the draft review, and that is 100% accurate. There's a lot of games we don't win because of Kirk Cousins. We win with Kirk Cousins. There's a difference. Okay, Blake Bortles. If the Jaguars this year win a Super Bowl, it's not because of Blake Bortles. It's just with Blake Bortles. He's having to be there for the ride. Tom Brady influences people around him and makes his team better. Okay? So he is a reason why if you pay Tom Brady $30 million and you put the rest of the money in defense and say, here, you got some bad receivers, but make it work, Tom, he can do that. He's done it his whole life. His whole career he's done that, except for like 1 year we had Randy Moss. Okay? And he has Gronk now, so I'll give you that. Okay? Aaron Rodgers makes people around him better. I don't like Big Ben, but that guy can throw. Okay, he always seems to have receivers that flash in the pan or do well and then go somewhere else and they're not as productive. Okay, Drew Brees, especially Drew Brees, is one of these guys. Okay, so Drew Brees is definitely one of these people. Okay, so Drew Brees is definitely one of these players. So, unless you're one of those upper echelon. So I don't think Matt Stafford deserved to get $27 million or whatever he got. He is not worth it. Brock Osweiler, everyone says that's what the market demand is. I'm like, I don't care what the market demand. Brock Osweiler, by the market, Brock Osweiler is supposed to get like $20 million. And what's his name? John Elway did not want to pay him $20 million. He's like, no, I'll pay you like 10 or 12. Okay? 10 or 12, and he's like, no. And he went and paid $18 million and went to freaking Texans, and he didn't even finish the season with them. Okay? So, there's obviously a reason why the market is BS. If someone wants to pay Kirk Cousins $20 million to go be a quarterback somewhere else, or $30 million to be a quarterback somewhere else, that's fine. But you're going to have to gut your offensive line, your wide receivers, your running back, or your defense. One of those is going to take a hit to get a quarterback who doesn't make people around them better. That's my opinion. If you think Kirk Cousins is the best thing ever, congratulations on your opinion. Go make your own video. That's my opinion. With that being said, I'm going to back my opinion up with stats. Okay? Kirk Cousins this year is 17 of... This is one reason why I don't think... Like, he has a lot of improvement to do. For a quarterback who's been here 6 years, he has a lot of improvement to do. Because... I just don't think he's progressed. Okay, and I'll tell you why. The first year, this year, okay, Kirk Cousins has 540 attempts, 347 completions, lowest he's had in his career. Okay, so that's lower than he did last year and the year before. So he's degressed. Okay, he has the lowest completion percentage he's ever had. So, or in the last 3 years. So lowest he's ever had. So he's digressed again. 7 wins this year, so he's digressed again. Touchdowns. He did have 27 touchdowns this year. I'll give him that credit. But he had 13 interceptions, the most he ever had in his career. Okay? Yards per attempt was 7.6, lowest he's ever had in his career. Average yards per, is that average? Adjusted yards gained per pass attempt, 7.5, lowest he's ever had in his career. Yards per catch, is that what that says? Oh, no, okay. Yards gained per play. That's stupid. Okay. Yards per game, 255.8, lowest in his career. His pass rating was 93.9, lowest in his career. His QBR was 50, lowest in his career. Okay, not when I say career, when he actually started being a starting quarterback. He started being a starting quarterback in 2015, so I'm comparing the last 3 years. Okay. So, sack. He got sacked 41 times this year. Now, is that all his fault? Absolutely not. I'm not stupid, but some of those are his fault. Holding on the ball too long, not getting rid of it fast enough, whatever case may be. Net yards gained per pass attempt, 6.46, lowest in his career. Lowest in the last 3 years. Adjusted net yards per pass attempt, 6.38, lowest in his career. Sack percentage, 7.1% of the time he dropped back, he got sacked. Lowest in his career. Fourth quarter comebacks, 1, lowest in his career. Okay. Okay, so there's a lot of things he's just not doing. Fumbles, he had 13 fumbles this year, most in his career. Okay, most he's ever had before. Interceptions, 13 interceptions, most he's ever had in his career. So he wasn't exactly the most productive quarterback. Again, I'm not saying he's god awful, but he did not do well. He did not do well at all this year, as well as he could have been this year. Okay, and again, everyone else is to blame, everything but him. Let me ask you this: if the car doesn't, if you have an offense, okay, and you have one factor over here, which is one person doing his job, and you have 10 people over here. And by these 10 people, I mean our receiving core, our running backs, and all of our tight ends. Okay? And you have an issue somewhere. Okay? And that issue is that you're not having a lot of passing yards or a lot of completions, or you're not getting enough yards to win or scoring touchdowns, whatever. It makes sense to blame the one person that has one variable for the problem that is to blame 10 people. You're claiming, whenever people claim that it's the receiving core, not Kirk Cousins, that all 10 of the people over here, the receiving core, the running backs, everything, all 10 of them are screwing up, and Kirk is infallible. And that opinion is asinine to me. There's more likelihood that one guy is screwing up than all 10 of the guys over here. Does that make sense? There's more likely that one guy is screwing up, okay, because it's resulting in these 10 people not being as productive, than it is all 10 of these people screwing up and resulting in this one guy not being productive. Okay? Because with these 10 people not screwing up, it's not feasible to think that that's possible. But that's the logic behind a lot of people when it comes to Kirk Cousins. Okay? So back to Kirk Cousins. So this year, he had... I'll go back up to his stats real quick. I'm going to go over his stats. 4,000... he had 4,093 yards. That's actually the lowest in the last 3 years. So, just keep with the trend of this is the worst year he's had in the last 3 years. Okay. Well, he was 17 of 59 on passes that go over 20 yards. Our quarterback was 17 of 29 on passes that traveled more than 20 yards through the air. Not counting catches where you catch 1 yard and run for 10 or run for 30, okay? Those do not count, okay? 17 of 59, okay? 28% completion percentage on passes over 20 yards. That is the quarterback that we want to give $30 million a year to. Someone who can't complete 1/3 of his passes that go over 20 yards. Now, I know everyone's going to say, oh, guys drop passes. No, they didn't. There's one drop pass in that entire statistic there. One drop pass. 17 of 59, 28.8% completion. One completion. One drop pass. Okay? So even if you add another 1.8, you're still at 30%. 33% is a third. 33.3333 repeating percent is a third. And our quarterback can't complete a pass over 20 yards 1/3 of the time. He's overthrowing them. He's throwing them out of bounds. He's underthrowing them. He's throwing them to the defender so they get intercepted. So on and so forth. Actually, that's not even counting passes that were intercepted. Seriously, that's not counting passes intercepted. When you throw a pass, the way that statistic is kept, that is not throwing passes that are intercepted. So if you want to add that up, I can go through and add it up. I can pause the video and go add it up right now. How many of those passes are intercepted that go over passes over 20 yards that go intercepted? I could do that. Okay. The Redskins, and everyone blames the receivers. Redskins are 22nd in passes dropped. As in, number one has the most drop passes, and Redskins are 22nd. Okay? 22nd in the most drop passes. Okay? So that means out of 32 teams, there are 21 teams who have dropped more passes than the Redskins. Yet, for some reason, our quarterback, all our quarterback's receivers can't catch a football. Okay? Redskins are 8th in incompletions per game. Now, this is a statistic where if the ball is not thrown accurately to a quarterback, that is considered an incompletion. Redskins are 8th. Okay? 7th in yak yards. 7th? 3rd. I'm sorry. 3rd in yak yards. Redskins are 3rd in yak yards this year. No, they're 7th. I'm sorry. It's 7th. 7th in yak yards this year. So that means that not only does Kirk not throw the ball down the field, but he has to throw the ball shortly to get the ball to a person, and they run to get most of his yards. And it is how many? He has 4,093 yards. Kirk, 2,131 of his yards are yards after catch. As in, he did not throw the ball through the air. They're yards after catch. Okay? And in 52% of those yards, that means 52% of Kirk's yards are yards after catch. So him throwing the ball to someone and catching them, and they get tackled, it's really only it's not even 2,000 yards. Okay, it's yards. He throws to somebody and they run. And that's the statistic on NFL.com, if you don't believe me. Okay? And the Redskins are 10th in receiving yards. So, all these excuses that everyone wants to give for Kirk Cousins, and like, oh, the receiver core's bad. The receiver core's not that bad. The quarterback's bad. Okay, and I'll go a step further. Okay? Kirk Cousins in the red zone. This is the thing that I harped on last year. Red zone numbers for Kirk Cousins. In 2015, his numbers were pretty good. Okay? Not going to make stuff up. He's not going to make it up. Pretty good. 60% completion percentage within goal to go. Let me make sure that's with all 10 games. Yeah, okay. 60% completion with goal to go. Or 20 and in. 22 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And then from 10 yards and in, he had a 59.52 completion percentage with 16 touchdowns. That's excellent. That would go a long way. So what was Kirk Cousins in 2016? 2016, which I actually have to scroll down because he's not even in the top 10. Okay, 2016, his completion percentage was 44.44 completion percentage in the red zone. So he went from, let me just make sure I'm comparing these accurately. He went from 60% completion in 20 and down to a 44% completion percentage. Dropped 16% in completion percentage. Okay? And then he had 14 touchdowns and 2 interceptions compared to in 2015, 22 touchdowns, no interceptions. So he had 8 less touchdowns. He had 12 more attempts in the red zone, and he had 8 less touchdowns. So that's Kirk Cousins for you. Okay? And in 2016, red zone, his completion percentage dropped to a measly, horribly awful 35.7%. 8 completions, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So he dropped, let's do the math here. 16, he dropped 8 less touchdowns in the red zone, in goal to go. Okay? 8 less touchdowns in goal to go. Like straight up, it's atrocious. It's atrocious. It's straight up atrocious. Okay? And his completion percentage dropped significantly. So now let's compare that to 2017. 2017, 20 and in wasn't too bad. 50% completion percentage. Not horrible, not great, but not horrible either. 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So the most interceptions he's thrown in the red zone, he threw this year. And he had less than he had in 2015. And he barely had more than he had in 2018. He had 3 more touchdowns than he had in 2018 or 2016. So he had less touchdowns in 2015, but he had more interceptions in both years. Okay. Now, his completion percentage in goal to go. Goal to go was 2017. He was at a whopping 34.62%. So he was completing a third of his passes. Barely more than a third. Okay. 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. And 16 touchdowns. His best year touchdown-wise was 2015. If he could put his touchdowns and the yardage he got last year together, that's what should have happened this year. But he can't do that because he's not an accurate quarterback. He throws check downs all the time. That's why he has so many yak yards. That's why our leading receivers are running back. That's why he only, at a 500, let's see how many attempts he has at passes that go, total passes this year. 540 passing yards. Passing attempts. Okay? So let's take out the handy dandy calculator here. So out of 540 passing attempts, 59 of them were an attempt to go over 20 yards passing. It's 59 divided by 540. I hit that twice. 59 divided by 540. Hold on. 59 divided by 540. That means that 11% of his passes, he only attempted 11% of his passes to go over 20 yards. So our quarterback, who we're going to pay $20 million to, is a check down. I don't mind dinking and dunking. I actually think we're more successful doing it. But he's a check down monster. On a consistent basis, he doesn't throw the ball beyond what we need for third downs. He's only taken 59 shots deep out of 540 attempts. Okay, it shows cowardice and it shows passiveness. Okay, I'm not saying the guy's a coward in general because I've seen him dive for first downs when other quarterbacks take a slide. Okay, so I'm not saying he's a coward, but it is cowardice. Fear of failure is what this guy has. It's okay to. I don't mind a quarterback making a mistake, but the problem with the other side of that coin is if you're afraid to make mistakes, you're not going to be an effective quarterback. Okay, I like Alex Smith, but he is a quarterback that does exactly the same thing. He's a fear of failure. He's a fear of turning the ball over and being ruled as a failure. So he is very conservative with the ball. Kirk Cousins is the same exact way. Okay, it's not bad because it keeps it keeps his numbers down, so it looks like he's being more successful than he really is. Okay, so that's his red zone number. So red zone across the board has gone down, and his yards passing. I mean, I'm not going to really get into his passing yards. I have them all right here, so I'll go over his passing yards real quick. He's gone down. He went from 4,166 yards to 4,917 to 4,093. Okay. So, I mean, with 3 more attempts, could he have gotten 166 yards and got the same amount of completion potential? Sure, why not? Okay. But everyone always complains that we lost 2,000 receivers. So that's your goal, is to pay a guy, because we couldn't afford 2,000 receivers. Goal is to pay our quarterback more money so we can't pay at least one more 2,000 receiver to come back. That makes sense. Okay, so now I'm going to go over so that's what my issue with Kirk Cousins. I don't hate the guy. I'm okay with paying him $20 million a year. But if he wants anything more than that, let him walk. I have every confidence in my mind and whatever that we could draft a quarterback and have Colt McCoy run the offense for the next year. And we would. I have no doubt in my mind we can have Colt McCoy run it. We could have Colt McCoy run it this year, and we'd be close to the 7-9 record. There's nothing in my mind that says otherwise. I think we would still be pretty close to a 7-9 record. Okay, maybe you disagree with me. That's fine. That's your opinion. My opinion is I don't think Colt McCoy can't do anything. Or at least Colt McCoy's won on Monday Night Football. Let me throw that out there. Okay, Kirk Cousins hasn't won on Monday Night Football. Just throwing it out there. So we have a quarterback who is 26-30-1. Okay, he does not have a winning record. He's had 2 years where technically he does have a winning record for 2 years, but I mean, just on a consistent basis, just doesn't do well. Doesn't do well enough for us to consistently win. And so to pay him more money so we can't get more stuff around him to help him out, this doesn't make sense to me. I'm not going to comment on. I mean, I could go all day about my issue with Kirk Cousins and the fans. A lot of fans just want to blame excuses. When you blame the offensive line for why the quarterback is not doing well, let me just say this. If the offensive line's healthy and the quarterback's balling out and he's doing really well, your point is valid because you take away something from the equation that hinders success. You have a point. It's causality. Receiver lineman went down, and the quarterback play went down because he got sacked more. If you can correlate that, you're correct. But if Kirk Cousins was never balling out anyway, let's say he walked in the season this year, first 3 games, he's putting up 350, 3 touchdowns a game, maybe like 1 interception every other game. So by game 6, he's got almost 2,000 passing yards, and he's got like a good 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions or something, or 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Then you have a point because we lost his receivers. It all went to hell. That's happened to Carson Wentz 2 years ago, or last year. Last year, Carson Wentz lost his best offensive lineman, his backside tackle, okay? And he lost that, and then he couldn't recover because he never had time to throw anymore. You can literally see the causality of losing that offensive lineman to the rest of the team, okay? That's not the case in our case because we never saw Kirk Cousins ball out. If he balled out, you have a point. He never balled out. Okay? So he didn't do that. If he balled out and then you lost offensive lineman and he started sucking, you have a point. That's like me saying their defense is a good defense. And like, well, why is that? Well, because the games that we had, when we had our defense healthy, we did very well. Like, what do you mean? Oh, we did well against the Rams. We actually didn't do bad against the Eagles. The offense actually just turned the ball over a lot. Our first 3 games, Eagles offense turned the ball over a lot and put defense in a bad spot. So our defense got credited with being a shitty defense for that game, but it's false. It's a falsehood. People just make up shit. Okay. The Rams, we held the Rams, one of the a playoff team, to we held them to like 20 points. And we won 20-27. Okay. And in the third game of the year, we won against the Raiders. We dominated that team defensively. Okay, we dominated that team. The only reason they scored is because a fumble, a muff punt, and a fumble. That's the only reason they scored on us. Okay, and you look at the third game, the fourth game, I'm sorry, when we played the Chiefs, we actually started getting injuries. And we still almost won that game. Okay, so I think we won the game like 23-20, something like that. Well, it would have been 20-20, but on the last play of the game, everyone was trying to do that like lateral bullshit where they're trying, that lateral bullshit. We're trying to just keep tossing the ball back and forth, hope to keep the ball alive until someone can spring loose for a touchdown. That's what we're trying to do, and it resulted in someone fumbled got on the touchdown. So it was like 29-23, I think, or 20, or whatever the score was. So it's not as cut and dry as people want to think it is. Where you have to show success and then take away a variable to correlate that to why you stopped having success. Okay? And I'm not trying to sound like an asshole while saying that. It's just simple statistics. Okay? If you have 2 variables, winning, or a couple variables, or winning games, offensive line's playing great, and the quarterback's having a lot of yards, and you take away one of these things, and then these 2 suffer, obviously this was the problem, right? Well, you have to have the initial beginning that I just talked about, where they're balling out, and they're balling out, and we're winning games. The offensive line's playing great, and and Kirk Cousins is playing well. Yep. If you take away that variable and these 2 suffer, you have a point whenever you want to bring up the lineman as a reason why Kirk Cousins didn't do well this year. Same thing with the receiving core. Receiving core, if you're going to have games where if you're going to do the same thing where you're going to say, like, oh, the receiving core sucked, you have to have a correlation. Why did the receiving core do well this year at any point to correlate that, like, well, they just stopped playing well, so then Kirk suffered? No. Kirk had a similar completion percentage he's always had. He had over 4,000 passing yards. Okay? He had a similar amount of attempt. All this stuff was practically the same. And he had with 2 less thousand receivers. So it's consistent. That is consistent. What is not consistent is his touchdowns, interceptions, turnovers, and his red zone numbers. Okay? So that's what I'm trying to say. Is you have to have some kind of variable and take something away in causality to prove your point. Whenever you're saying to me that, oh, the offensive line sucked, that's why the offense sucks. No, the offense sucked all season. Okay, Kirk has not been consistently good at getting the ball in the end zone throughout his entire career. He doesn't like consistently have 400-yard games with 4 touchdowns. If he did do that, we'd have a discussion, but he doesn't. So he consistently, and nowhere in his career can you see consistently. Go to every season he has. He'll have a game where he'll do well, then he'll have another game where he'll do bad, and it varies back and forth. There's no consistency there. So to claim consistency that Kirk is this, and then you take this away and it makes him worse, is falsehood. Okay, that's how relative it is. Okay, perception is not reality. Just because you think something doesn't make it true. Okay, facts prove it. I'm trying to think of anything else I need to talk about with the Redskins. I'm just disappointed in this season. I had high expectations, especially the defense. Looked the first couple weeks had really high expectations. So going forward, I'm not trying to like be a Debbie Downer or anything. I don't know what the Redskins are going to do. It seems like when I think we're making steps, we just seem to shoot ourselves in the foot, and we just don't seem to have, at the right time, step up and do the right things. That's the best way I can put that. without getting too into depth. It's just the Redskins are the biggest thing is Redskins are front runners. Whenever there's success, they kind of roll off of that. But as soon as they start having it starts to nosedive. It nosedives quick, and it just can't recover. And this year's been the most leadership we've had. So I think going forward, we could potentially bounce back from that. I don't want to say probably. We could potentially bounce back from that. The problem is we just don't consistently do it. We don't consistently overcome adversity. Okay, the only adversity we've really overcome in the last couple of years is we beat the Buccaneers when we were down 21 points or something. Okay, we don't consistently overcome adversity enough that it's a trend. It's just a fad. Okay, it's a blip on the radar. So with the Redskins, I hope my explanation of everything. Again, I don't hate Kirk Cousins. I'm totally content giving him $20 million a year. But everyone's gonna say that's what the market is, and I understand that. I don't care what the market says. I would look Kirk dead in the face and listen. The market may say you're worth this, but if you go anywhere, they're going to have to cut a lot of receivers, a good defense and offensive line, just to accommodate you. This is why you're worth $20 million a year. I will help you make that money up somehow with endorsements or whatever. But you will not be successful if you're going somewhere and gutting the entire team to make sure they pay you. That is what I would say straight up. That's my personal opinion, and I'm sticking to it. This is JD. This is Redskins Rant. I will comment and do some things probably about when free agency starts. Probably when Kirk Cousins either signs with us or goes to another team. And then the NFL draft. All right? So my name's JD. This is Redskins Rant. Appreciate you watching. Have a good one. See ya.